Thank you for clicking Dr. Samurai Minute Lecture. In this video, I would like to discuss gun violence is never the answer. I would especially like to focus on exactly how we can stop gun violence that we see in the United States back to back at Buffalo, New York, or Uvalde, Texas. I will look into early childhood backgrounds of mass shooters, their psychological mechanics, promising mental health policies, how the practical gun policy should be, and finally, whether Mr. Trump's claim of placing more police officers with arms at schools is going to be effective or not. This is going to be a quick look at exactly how to stop mass shootings in the United States. My name is Dr. Samurai. I'm a professor specialized in international social pathology. Gun violence is never the answer. First, let's look at some of the mass shooters' actual childhood backgrounds. No interest in child, Sunnyvale shooter Richard Foley. Lack of early physical contact, Columbine High shooter Dylan Klebold. Parents and emotional personality, Virginia Tech shooter Sun-Hee Cho. No family communication, Colorado shooter James Holmes, and Lyndhurst High shooter Eric Houston. Parents not facing child, Columbine High shooter Eric Harris. Excessive interference, Islamic State Justin Sullivan, and unstable family condition, Oklahoma federal building bomber Timothy McVeigh. Looking over all these childhood backgrounds, it seems safe to say the mass shooters' backgrounds are either neglect or emotional neglect, and that seems to be leading them to murder-suicide. Then why do the subjects raised under these childhood backgrounds feel like committing mass shootings? What is their psychological mechanics? In case of neglect, parents do not pay attention to their child. Because of that, the subject receives no positive energy, thus cannot think positively, and can learn no social skills in the family without communications. This leads either to a social phobia or highly childish approach to try to make friends with peers. As a result, they often get isolated or bullied in the classroom. That is, they cannot enter human circle, and this extends to their social life even after they graduate from schools. Thus, in time, they develop envy, frustration, grudge, and hatred toward human beings or the society, and in the end, they self-explode. In the case of emotional neglect, either parents are highly dominating, controlling, and manipulative, and the child cannot assert their true feelings at home, or the family on the verge of collapse, such as possible parents' divorce. The subject cannot live as true and natural themselves. In both cases, the subjects can develop decent communication skills through the superficial communications available at home, and thus, at a glance, they look perfectly okay, surrounded by many friends. That is not their true themselves. By repressing their true feelings, they have always been lonely and insecure inside themselves. And this inner isolation, as opposed to apparent sociability, also extends to their after-school life in the society. Highly scared of other people's reactions all the time, they are always reading other people's faces, which causes them high fatigue of living in the world which they have nothing in common with. And in the end, they feel like destroying the whole society together with his own death. These are their psychological mechanics. But why do they feel like involving others in their own suicide? It is because they are feeling they tried their very best to try to make friends with the people in the society, and it is them who rejected him. So inside their mind, he was the good one. And in case they had outstanding frictions with the specific group of people, the subject focuses his all anger on to that specific group of people as his target. And also, the more abusive elements are found in their background, the less the possibility of his committing suicide. In a nutshell, in both neglect and emotional neglect, the subject cannot develop their solid ego, which is necessary for them to survive in the society, and that is why they resort to mass murder suicide. That said, what kind of mental health policies are considered promising? One, town meetings such as held at local schools for expecting mothers to learn importance of the critical period is going to be very effective, because the first 0 to 3 years of the life is the years the person establishes the basis of their personality. So this critical period must be protected at all costs. 2. Mother and child should regularly visit doctors until the child enters elementary school. And 3. Mandatory regular counseling should be provided for everybody at school or at the job site, as we see it in case of health checkups. And 4. Voluntary social stations must be set up which actively try to involve the loners, either school students or adults in the society, so that they can find somebody who they can talk to and also do things together with. Then what about gun policy? What kind of gun policy should be necessary? The answer is very simple. All the assault weapons must be banned from the society, period. As guns are deeply rooted into American tradition, it is not easy to ban all guns from the society. However, assault weapons are designed to kill multiple people, which is clearly no need for any civilian life. So, what about Mr. Trump's claim of placing more police officers with arms at schools? The answer is also very simple. No, it is an unprofessional idea based on no reliable basis. Because, 1, it is not only at schools that mass shootings are happening. That means we must fill the whole society with so many police officers, which is, of course, impossible. 2, it is practically impossible to detect and block all the unexpected attacks by unknown assailants. That means if there's no type of gun control, those possible assailants can still have highly assaultive weapons. And many of them go through detections by law enforcement. And 3, mass shooters are convinced criminals who are willing to commit the act even at the presence of police officers. We should never forget they are on suicide mission. Lastly, as we see so many mass shootings today in American society, and less serial murders, which used to be more prevalent decades ago, it is considered that American families are more of neglect or emotional neglect rather than abuse, which leads to serial murders. That said, in a nutshell, everything is dependent on the resolution of the U.S. government of how serious they are to stop further tragedies by mass shootings in the future. If the government is fully prepared to do anything, including my suggestion, the situation can be dramatically improved. This terrible situation of seeing mass shootings everywhere must be stopped to ensure people's peaceful and happy life in the future. Thank you very much, and please have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.